fundamentals of real estate. I'm your host, Angela Dillmon, here at Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is my wealth building partner,
Glen with Gil Mortgage.
And this is our expert buyer's agent, Josh Gulledge,
back again.
Joining us again today for our buyers series. And we are here to help you build wealth,
live your dream lifestyle,
and leave legacies that matter.
All right, there you go. All right, today we have been, just to recap, we've been in our buyer's consultation, and we've got our loan scenario all set up. We're all good to go. We know our price point. We've jumped online with you. We've been looking at the map and the areas that are willing to go and what I really want in a property. We understand the market, what it looks like for the area you're buying, what the sellers and buyers are doing, how fast things are going, right?
Yep.
Some different strategies there. And we've talked about agency, right? And we found out you probably won't go to jail if you, try to represent yourself. But it may not be all that great of an idea, right? And so in this part of the buyer's process, we're going to start searching for homes now.
This is the fun part. So here's my question. How long does it take to buy a house once I start this search process?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, when I have heard, and it is very common experience for people to have 6 months, a year, and 2 years finding homes. This is a tough, low inventory market. And we're going to answer that question in a little bit.
Good.
So, Josh, tell me how you help somebody search for a home and why the agent piece is important. Because really, on a scale of 1 to 10, how great are buyers at choosing homes that are great fit for them to go see?
Yeah, it's probably as low as a 3. They're not always very good at it.
Okay, so we're going to figure out why. I mean, you have the internet, you can go search, but it really isn't that easy. And so tell us. So what's the first thing you're going to do? You've set up this MLS search already,
so
right?
we've talked about it. They know the hyperlocal stats. We know roughly where the opportunities are and kind of what we're looking for. So we send them the MLS link, the multiple listing services, what real estate agents use. It's where we input the data first.
The listings go in there first.
Listings go in there first.
That's where the internet finds all its information from. Is the multiple listing service MLS required?
So from that point, it goes to the Zillows, the Realtor.coms, the Redfins, the rest of the world.
Right.
So I like buyers to know that, hey, this is where it's coming from.
Okay.
So you're not finding homes on Zillow that you won't find here.
Right.
So again, when I'm screening, because the MLS is private, and we can go into exactly how they search for it, but you can make notes, you can customize your own search, but a lot of times buyers will send me something and say, hey, I saw this one on Zillow. Well, if it's not on their search, something's not lining up. They've already changed their criteria.
Because Zillow's getting it from the same place you are.
Same exact place.
That's
so
right, it's from the MLS.
So I know that there's something different than what we wanted originally to buy.
And Josh, you always say that your search is private. And so when you're setting up on your search, the only two people that are seeing their choices or selections are you and the person on the MLS.
Yeah,
nobody's selling their information.
nobody's selling
you're not getting called from inspectors and lenders.
So again, let's just, with that example, they send me one on Zillow and say, hey, I saw this one on Zillow. Again, my screening process is, why is it not in our search? Because I want to make sure I am searching for exactly what they want.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's price. So they said, hey, I don't want to see anything over $350. This one's $380. So it's really high. And it's just on the market. So it's not even an opportunity to get them lower. Which could be okay, but again, I'm making sure it's not our search. A lot of times, this is a big one. No basements. No garages. They're not obviously going to put a picture with a sign that says no basement. They're not going to take a picture of the basement because there is no basement.
Right. So why is it that buyers send you stuff that have no basements and have no garages when they want a basement and they want a garage? What's going on?
So a lot of times, I was talking with you earlier, it hits one piece of their search really well.
Right, so one trigger gets tripped.
So neighborhood they want.
Neighborhood. A lot of times there's no basement, so the price of the home is really cheap.
Oh, right.
Or
the square foot's really large because
square
of that, right?
Square foot's really big. So again, you look at let's just say our price point with the basement is indicating 1,500 square foot is the most square footage we're going to get on the main level for that price point with a basement.
Right.
Now you take out, hey, this house has no basement. Well, now it might compare to a 1,900 square foot home.
Right.
In price will be about the same, if not lower. And so buyers see 1,900 square foot and it's beautiful, it's big, and the price point's great. But then I gotta like show them like, hey, this has no basement. So even though
Right.
it would look great, I bring them in there and be like, oh, I love the size, but there's no basement.
I'm not buying it.
They
I'm
have
not
just
buying it.
they've torched their budget at that point.
Right.
They've now fallen in love with 1,900 square foot, but they have to have a basement. So if I go make a 1,900 square foot with a basement, we've just destroyed their budget.
It's
So,
true. If you do look above your price point, it's very hard to be happy in your price point.
Mhm.
And this is very important in the screening process because your budget is very important.
Yeah.
And we're budget conscious with you. And
Yep.
we want to make sure that you're not going beyond your budget because then that's a real thing. So, so you can customize it, you can share notes, you can heart all the things,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Yep.
And
that's
we're not
awesome.
just setting and forgetting it.
Right. Yeah. It's one thing I love about you guys is you're engaged. Not only are they looking every day, but you're looking every day for them, and you're checking in with them. I've had people. Well, I'll ask an agent about a pre-approval, and she said, "Well, I set them up 7-8 months ago on a search, and I haven't heard from them since." That's
Because
just so.
a lot of agents' models is I'll set you up on this, and then you let me know when you see something you like. But
Right.
I don't want to drag you around to 20 homes that don't fit. Because even if I customize the search in the MLS, it really may not match up. There's still more screening to do, right? So
Yeah.
what else are you looking at? So you're looking at the MLS, but what else are you looking at then?
Yeah.
'Cause
So
we're searching daily.
yeah,
and
so
you don't
again,
have time to.
the role of an agent has changed so much. Used to you had to have agents to even see any homes ever.
Right.
But now again with the internet things have changed. But there's so many opportunities. So off-market properties. So properties that aren't on the MLS are not going to go to Zillow, Realtor.com. But there's still people, and I'm sure you've heard of them. They're buying and selling and never going on the internet. You'll be like, oh, my neighbor sold and it never got on the internet.
Right.
So
yeah, how does that happen?
so
Right?
the way agents have changed their role is if we know somebody is selling and they've signed paperwork, they go into a withheld status
Yes.
that everybody in your office can see.
So this is in the MLS. If I go out
Yeah.
and list your home because you want to sell it in 3 months and we need to paint and we need to carpet and we need to put counters in, we're like, okay, we're gonna sign the paperwork today. I'm gonna help you get it ready. And while you're getting it ready, it's sitting in this withheld status in the MLS, and all the agents in your office, only in your office, can see that. And since all our KW8 offices here in St. Louis are hooked together into the same broker, we can
Yep.
see 1,200 agents off-market listings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff that's coming that's not yet like for
So
sale.
it's not going to be as
like that.
competitive, is it? And probably more
No,
flexible with the terms.
No, and so we've got
Yeah,
a
that's-
huge pool of off-market properties.
Yeah, and then again, one of it, and me and Glenn talk about it all the time, is it really does come down to networking. So if you tell me, for example, you're looking for a really, like this is your criteria and you're looking in Baldwin,
Mhm.
well, sure. I mean, I'm with so many realtor events and around top producers all the time. They start, we just natural business conversation.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're talking.
I've got a couple in Baldwin that are coming up, because they know I sell a lot. So a lot of times
Right.
they tell me or even
Right.
text me and say, hey, I have a really cool one coming on. So
Right.
even before that point in an off market, I sometimes get inside, word of,
Right.
hey, I know so-and-so is going on an appointment this week. I'm going to follow up with him this week and get inside it, see what the scoop is and see. if it's
I've got a
fit.
great history. You two are both outstanding at that. Connecting with the other agents in a positive way. They know that you're successful. I could see that happen a lot, that they're just reaching out to you even before they're putting it on the MLS where everybody else is going to come in.
And-
I know that one time you networked with somebody at church that you knew was
Yeah.
going to be
So
selling.
yeah, so she was an older lady. She was looking to move, and
Mhm.
she says, "Hey, Josh, I'm thinking about selling." And it turned out, like, again, I knew roughly where she lived. I was shocked that she was moving, but I was like, "Hey, this is a perfect fit for somebody I have currently working
Right.
with."
So for a young first-time homebuyer couple,
So I was
it's a
able to make
perfect
it.
fit.
I was able to make it, be a perfect fit.
Right.
But I was also able to be that buffer. So whether you
Yeah,
know,
so this person
somebody-
found a house, not on Zillow, not on your search, not on withheld. They just found the house.
yeah. So
Right.
if you-
Networking is a fancy word for just talking to people,
Right.
telling people that you're interested in buying a house, telling people that pretty soon I have a friend that's going to be selling a
Right.
house, just be an engaging conversation. And I think, one of the things we say is, well, heck, I don't even need an agent for that. Well, you really do.
Yeah.
Because you
Yes.
want that in between, because especially dealing with family or somebody at church, you don't want anything to go sideways, and you want, like you just said, that buffer, that in between person.
Yeah. So again, if as you tell people that you are looking for a home, you will naturally get the, oh, so and so is thinking about selling. Maybe you
Right.
should buy their house.
Right.
Family, friends, church members,
Right.
whatever your social circle is.
And the buffer is important here because people don't like confrontation, basically.
Especially family and
so,
friends. Yes.
Yeah, and so they can dispute about value. Like what happens if, you know, the grandma thinks that it's worth $350 and you only want to pay $300 for it. So, you know, what happens on building inspections and so
Right.
forth. But we also want to get to the screening. How much screening exactly on, even in the MLS search, any house, what exactly are you screening for?
Yeah.
Besides their criteria, you know what they want.
Yeah.
You know it's 3 bedroom, you know it's 2 bad. What else?
Yeah. So again, floodplains, big one.
Right,
If there's
big
even
one.
a creek within our search team, I mean, I tell them if it's like a quarter mile away from a creek, like look at where that creek's running, because sometimes that water runs crazy. So
That's what I'm
floodplains
Mm-hmm.
on all properties, there are agent remarks that you cannot see as a consumer side. So whether it's Zillow, Realtor.com, even my private MLS search, you can't see that unless you're an
Right.
agent. But again, a lot of times that's information on reports, maybe structural, especially disclosures, which we'll talk about on another podcast. But what timeline is. But again, then we go. I'll pull Google Street Views. Make sure
Right.
you're not next to a distressed property that's going to hurt your value.
Right.
Make sure the lay of the land works for you. No busy roads.
Right. The gas station in the back.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know, right?
Did you say there was one that there was a bar?
Yeah. One of my favorite stories is I saw the neon lights from a Google Street View and didn't know what it was. Scrolled over and it's literally next to a bar. So I was like, "Are you guys party?" I joke with my clients. Like I sent a picture zoomed out with the bar in the house. I mean, they were that close. I said, "Are you guys partiers?" And obviously that wasn't the house for them.
What I'm learning is that's the experience agent. You know, I may do this 2 or 3 times in a lifetime. You guys do it multiple times every month. So I've got your experience guiding me and screening and making sure I'm not going to make that bad decision.
Yeah. So to answer your question today, Glenn, is how long does it take to find
how
a
long?
home? So our average is I show about 5 homes for a buyer to find the right one. And if you're fully ready to go, it can take less than 60 days.
Yeah.
Because we don't just want to see, and you might think 5 homes, that's not enough, but really we are very, like we're in our lane. We're honed in on what you want. We're seeing the 5 best homes. And again, it's an average, but sometimes it's the first home, sometimes it's the 8th home, but we really want to make sure everything we're looking at is a really good opportunity and a potential, not just hey, I took 2 steps in the front door, like, nope.
And I could see too, if I went out and saw 15, 20, I'd get burned out. They'd all start looking the same.
And some buyers,
they run together and it makes your head spin.
Right. Some buyers are they're proactive too, and you give props. Some of them do a lot of drive-bys, and they see right away, like, hey, I don't even want to waste Josh's time, which again I appreciate too, but more for their sake, like, hey, it's a lot easier for them to do a quick drive-by after work than us to all set up a time, everybody both be there.
And a lot of times you're screening out buyers. One of the reasons they don't pick great homes is because they will screen out stuff because of bad photos.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're screening for value, you'll say that subdivision, that square foot or whatever is an awesome value. We need to go see it. I know the pictures are bad. Don't worry about it. No one else is seeing it either. It's a great opportunity.
And you hear this all the time, especially with investors. Does the house have good bones?
Right.
And so whenever people say that, they always think of, in most people's heads, a gut rehab are the bones of the home good. But I take that truly, like, I look at the same thing. Whether I look, does the house have good bones? And as far as just roof, AC, furnace, layout, because I've seen if it has the size, the neighborhood, the layout, if it's carpet, paint, and maybe worst case cabinets or 1 bathroom, that's really easy to do. And those are some incredible opportunities. And I'm not talking a gut rehab. I mean, some of these have good bones and you could move right in and update them down the road.
Update them down the road. That's absolutely true. Well, thanks for joining us today as we're talking about the actual searching. Next week, we're going to talk about screening the disclosures and going through what is a disclosure and, why is it important.
Yep.
And so we'll talk about that next week. Thanks for joining us. Until then, have a great week.